And good evening, and it's just coming up to dusk over at Baconsthorpe Castle in Norfolk. I'm joined with my friend Eddie Mallett, and you'll see a little bit more of him shortly, and we're going to carry out an investigation inside the inner keep. What I can say about this site, this actual keep behind me in the castle was built in 1450, which is rather strange historically because it was at the late medieval period when the siege cannon had been invented. And this building, despite its even robust appearance today, would not have lasted long under a siege. And the reason it was built, it was for a sociopath, a man by the name of John Halton, who was a crooked lawyer, who was able to wrangle money out of many people, lords and ladies, nobility everywhere. But unfortunately for him, a lot of people were looking for him. And so he decided he needed a home base which could be defended. I'm sure if John Halton had lived in the present day, he probably would be a politician or a very wealthy lawyer. But in this particular part of history, he came from a very poor background, and he was determined to make a stakehold on an estate which he held here at Baconsthorpe. And so it remained in the family for 200 years. They later built an outer gatehouse which was much more showy, probably to impress guests coming to the site, and by which time the family had evolved into weaving. And certainly they employed an army of weavers who created tapestries which were sold on the continent, which was quite unusual for that period of history because at that time the English mostly bought their tapestries from Flanders. So to actually employ people here on a localised basis, breeding sheep and using the wool for making these wonderful tapestries to sell and export abroad was something quite unheard of and quite remarkable. Their fortunes unfortunately waned, as they often do with many of these families, and certainly during the period of the English Civil War with the parliamentarians in power, they had caused offence to them. They were pro-royalist, but as punishment they ordered the family to demolish part of the castle in lieu of a debt which was owed. And in fact, quite a number of stone pieces from the original castle here were transported to build Rainham Hall, which is a few miles distant. So if you ever visit Rainham Hall in Norfolk, which is also famous for a particular haunting, you'll know that quite a large amount of stone was taken from the curtain walls and the inner gatehouse building and transported for building work on that estate. However, I digress. Here tonight I'm hoping to carry out a ghost box investigation at one of the two rooms on the inner gatehouse building. Now, if you recall when I was here last time, and again reference back to the original video, you'll see during the night investigation we picked up some very unusual light anomalies. What I'm hoping to do tonight is to be able not only to recapture these light anomalies, but also be able to pick up some EVP through the ghost box. A lot of you have complained about the noise that is emitted by the ghost box, and I do fully understand that. It would certainly drive me nuts, and being here and doing it at the same time is even worse. So what I'm proposing to do is to dampen the background noise, so all you can hear is the audio coming directly from the ghost box. Obviously, if there is a conversation between myself or Eddie with the ghost box, the audio will have to be raised to its normal full potential. But I'm hoping that by engaging with spirit here, particularly those light anomalies, there may be some kind of explanation as to who and why it's been done. I'm certainly glad to be back here. It's a beautiful evening. The sun is coming down very, very slowly. It has a certain aura and romanticism attached to this castle site. It's surrounded by a moat, and to one side is a large lake which is covered in duck, swan and geese and a number of other wild birds which nest here. It's certainly a beautiful, quiet and very remote site which will be absolutely perfect for our intentions here tonight. I know Eddie is looking forward to it, and I'm just going to bring Eddie over to the camera now, and he will give you his feelings about what he's hoping to experience. Nice to meet you, Eddie.
Indeed. How can Chris?
I've taken the microphone off because it's the best way of interviewing you. Anyway, we're here at Baconsthorpe Castle. What a romantic and what an idyllic location.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It certainly is. And what are you hoping to experience here tonight? You've had a wander around the site. Have you picked anything up?
Very strong, very strong.
And whereabouts?
In the second one there.
Okay, on the left-hand side, going across the drawbridge, yeah.
Felt very strong in there. Certain amount in the other one, but definitely that one was the strongest for me. Although you said you had some great stuff in.
Yeah, I believe it's on the other side. We picked up all the light anomalies.
Indeed. And I must admit, I've been making the most of the wildlife, because you know I love wildlife, so I've been taking a few photographs of those.
It has to be said, Eddie is a birdie.
I am indeed.
And there's certainly a lot of wild birds here. It really is an impressively beautiful, wonderful sight to be.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I love it. And the actual architecture, fantastic. And here's hoping for some wonderful stuff tonight with the.
But when you look at it though, with the flintstone covering, it looks as though it's been built on the cheap, doesn't it?
It's a few really, really nice bits there, but I will have to say, yes, there are some areas that
a quick defensive against enemy attack.
Yeah, I mean, so that window above that window is quite nice, and that.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
And just love the way how they got the row of stones just going right the way round there. That's quite neat.
Yeah, it has certain ornamentation, but it isn't like, for example, Castle Rising, which is a beautiful and substantive building.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm now going to prepare for the night investigation with Eddie. The light is certainly starting to drop, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very shortly. Okay, it's now getting dark, it's getting exciting, and the activity is starting to increase here slightly, and I'm hoping that, particularly so in this room, we're going to pick up some very interesting light anomalies and some EVP perhaps through the ghost box. Eddie's been touching into spirit like I have here. I can feel the atmosphere changing, I can feel a change in the fabric of the building. And I'm sure as nature goes to sleep in terms of day creatures, those that exist in the night will once more step out into the light and share themselves to us. And what about you, Eddie?
I'm hoping for a good night, I must admit. Like I say, got that usual sort of spiritual headache you can feel quite coming in quite nicely.
Where do you feel it mostly?
Usually, I mean, so different times.
I mean, in relationship to the building, yeah.
So basically, top of the head, going down like that.
Mm-hmm.
Another time, another location. You can get it at the side of the sort of like in the temple. Another time, you get it another side in the temple. But it's just different locations that sort of come in the same.
With relationship to this building, are you feeling one room being more active than another? Because we're actually in the gatekeeper's room. Next door is the steward's room. The steward, of course, used to service the upstairs apartments to the owners, the Halton family. Are you feeling more activity here, or are you feeling more in the other room?
Earlier on, very, very strong in the steward, and very little in here. But it was a slight feel to it. However, set the recorder up, as I set the recorder up, now not feeling this as strong in there.
But you're feeling it here.
It's now come over to this side. So it seemed to me as though it might be that this one become more stronger as the night.
Well, as I say, from the last time we were here, we were picking up lots of light anomalies in this room, and I propose actually for tonight to start the ghost box session in here, and we'll see what we pick up. I'm going to have to keep the lights low because technically we are on property owned by English Heritage, and they certainly wouldn't want us to be on their property after dark, even though we're not actually causing any problems. But I'm certainly hoping that we have something compelling, something that you can be proud of with regard to paranormal activity that will find compelling and keep your interest in my work. And I'm very pleased that Eddie's joined me again, because as I remember last time, you were very, very happy that Eddie had joined me on the previous investigations, because we do tend to work quite well together. We both follow a similar line of thought and attitude with regard to the paranormal, so we're both hopeful that tonight our liaison here working together is going to produce some very exciting results.
Yeah, I feel it's definitely the same way as you. Not going out for the gun-ho attack. Just relax. Let things come to you.
Basically chill and let it flow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just relax, call out, and just, well, respect.
Absolutely. Anyway, it's virtually totally dark now, so we're going to commence with the night investigation. We'll see how it goes. If we pick up a lot of activity in this room, we'll stay here. Eddie's got a locked off camera in the other room, so it might as well be here that we hope to pick up the activity which we can share with you. And thank you for tuning in. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
All the best.
Okay, we're now ready to start the Ghost Box session. As I mentioned earlier, I intend to tone down the audio because I know it is very irritating and very distracting, but obviously any meaningful responses or questions that we're going to ask or respond to, the audio will be raised back to its correct level. We're going to keep the audio from the Ghost Box speaker as low as possible anyway, but not too low that we can't actually hear what's being said. And this is always a problem. Somebody raised recently in one of my videos that you're not understanding what's being said. Well, when you're actually standing here and you're recording and listening to it, sometimes it doesn't come across as clearly as it does when you're editing. And I've experienced in some locations with the Ghost Box, the audio is fairly clear and concise, but in other places, less so. So it's always an issue and always a problem. Somebody mentioned buying an Oculus. I'd love to do so, but unfortunately my funding at the present time doesn't allow for that. That's why I started my Patreon account, which you'll see a link to below. And if you can join and donate, I can increase the quality and the range of equipment which I use on all of my shoots. As it stands tonight, I'm currently carrying, which is paid for out of my own pocket, around about £2,000 worth of equipment. And if I could certainly raise the quality of the cameras and the recording equipment, we can actually start moving a lot more forward. So I hope you're going to be there for me. Sorry for the ad plug, but we're going to continue. Thank you. Could anyone please give me an indication of your presence? Not a lot happening at the moment, but it's still early.
I'm feeling very apprehensive.
Oh yeah, there's a presence here.
Not very apprehensive,
Yeah.
and sort of not knowing what we're up to.
Yeah. Please let me assure you, and you can scan us. None of us, neither of us have any form of malevolent intent. We're not here to cause you any issues or problems. I know that you exist on another plane, another level which is different to our own, and a totally different period of history. We are in the 21st century, and I suspect you are probably sometime, maybe 1600s, maybe just before then. So everything has changed from the world upon which you existed into the world in which we exist now. As I said, we're not here to cause you any harm or disrespect, and I just want to be friends with you, and so does my friend Eddie. He wants to be friends with you too. So anything you can say or communicate to us would be gratefully received and appreciated. Thank you. Is there anybody here who wishes to say anything, please? This is definitely more active than the two rooms. Yeah, it never felt this way earlier, did it?
No, didn't. Could be the wind, yes, the wind had got me.
You felt draft?
Yeah, all of a sudden, very strong. Ooh. Possibly a voice there.
What I'm going to do, Eddie, I'm going to change the sweep and go to FM, and we shall see where we kick off from there. We're not picking anything up at all on the current settings, so let's change it again. Okay, if we have this device which is making this noise will give you the energy to be able to speak to us directly. Any friendly spirits of this castle, could you come to this room, please? Anyone here in spirit, could you give us an indication of your presence, please? Okay, we're not getting much in terms of a response from the ghost box. It could well be that in this particular location, spirit isn't prepared to talk, but more of a light form energy. And of course the light form energy may not be human spirit at all, it may be something else. We're actually standing in the gatekeeper's room. I should imagine in the early days they probably kept their animals in here as well, who knows. But I felt a male and female presence. I think the male was very young, and the same as Eddie is feeling, that whoever it is feeling apprehensive.
Very.
Yeah. So these are communicational issues that we may not necessarily be able to overcome. And I don't want to waste all my tape in one place, so we're going to carry on next door in a short while. If we don't get a response from there, we're going to go to the outer gatehouse by the car park entrance and try there. But at the moment, there is an energy and it's building up, but whether it's going to manifest itself into anything worthwhile remains to be seen, isn't it?
Indeed. I will say, Chris, that before you actually start talking, there was a talk. Somebody came over the spirit box.
Oh, there was?
It was, yeah. Very faint, but it was there.
I'll check it out then when I get back.
Yeah.
What was I doing at the time? Was I hitting it?
Just then about to start. As that with them coming in.
Right, yeah.
It's sort of like 3, maybe 4 words, and that was it.
So it's difficult. You never know what's going to happen wherever. Somebody asked me the other day if ghost boxes are so good, it must be random radio transmissions which are picked up everywhere, but we're not picking up any form of transmission, or very, very light transmissions.
It don't seem to be like.
Not like scenting.
The difficult part of it is, we all know, you can't say one way or the other with spirit boxes. If anybody challenges, you can't challenge her to come back and say, no, it isn't, it's spirit, because they do pick up on radio waves. However, the actual way, if you get reaction to a question, that's where it all comes in. You know, like there's 1 or 2 saying we got real good reactions.
Oh, we got some very strong responses, yeah. But again, we picked up a lot of garbage as well, didn't we?
Yeah, sadly.
Way it goes, unfortunately.
Have to wait and see what happens.
Okay, we're now off the ghost box. This is definitely the room where the light anomalies were picked up. Can't guarantee that they're going to come back, but you never know your luck. And where Eddie's standing was roughly where they were originally picked up on camcorder. As I say, what we'll do, we'll spend a little time here, and then we'll go next door, try a ghost box session. If that doesn't work, then we'll come back to the handhelds. Just to show you, ladies and gentlemen, it's got a vaulted roof. I'm not sure whether it's going to show well on this camera.
That is beautiful, that is.
It's got a beautiful vaulted roof. And obviously some graffiti. These people that do this are complete utter morons.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
If they're not doing this, they're damaging gravestones. We are gentle people. We don't mean you any harm or disrespect. We're just trying to make a level of communication, and if you can do that, it would be wonderful.
Do you enjoy working here?
What was that?
It was an owl.
Oh, was it?
That one's a barn owl, that one.
Sounds like a fan belt on a car.
Yeah, screech owls they're called. Try and say anything you possibly can. It's
proving a little bit difficult in here at the moment, but we're hoping we can reach out to spirit. For sure, there is an atmosphere building here. Whether it's going to result in anything that we can capture on camera, well, remains to be seen. But we're keeping our fingers crossed, and we're going to stay here as long as we can, because this was definitely the room we picked light anomalies up last time. I've just seen one. I've actually just seen one. I hope the other camcorder has picked it up on the wall behind Eddie, but over to the shelf where the other camcorder is. I feel you. I can feel you. Please don't be afraid. I'm not here to hurt you, nor is my friend Eddie. We're both gentle people.
I'm hearing voices.
Oh, it's not horrible. It's just a wave of energy just went right across me. As I was tuning in, I'll keep my eyes closed because I can focus better.
Yeah, I do the same. Did you feel that apprehensive feeling?
I'm feeling that, but there's something else here, something that I can't quite piece together. And it's kind of disturbing me, not in a deeply psychological way, but it's disturbing me because there's another story here. Was anybody murdered in this room? Was that geese?
Yeah, it was geese.
Was there anybody murdered in this room? Anyone whose life was cruelly taken? Anybody who lived in fear of the Halton family? Anyone who was a happy employee? Somebody who lived here, who was well accommodated and loved? But I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling a dark episode. But of course, when people go on paranormal investigations, everybody seems to pick up on a dark episode.
Indeed.
So I'm not placing a lot of leverage on that. But what I am placing on this is that there is an apprehensive reluctance that seems to emanate around this room. If only you could trust us, if only you were prepared to reach out to us. Please, could you tell me your name? My name is Chris.
I'm Eddie.
And Eddie's from Suffolk, I'm from Essex. And we've come a long way to get here tonight to be able to meet with you. And we certainly haven't come here to cause you any problems or disrespect. We haven't come here to damage this building, and we can see that people have caused damage here in the past. That is not our intention. Our intentions are peaceful. Our intentions are to make meaningful and friendly contact. And I want you to scan us both, because I know that you can read us. The overall feeling, actually, what I'm feeling is poverty mostly. Driving poverty.
I'm getting a feeling that somebody's waiting for somebody and they're not coming, turning up.
It's a kind of mixed medley of feelings here, isn't there? You know?
Yeah, it is.
And it is a beautiful place. This is one of the most beautiful locations I've been to. Not necessarily for the build of the castle, but the moat itself, the watered areas, the beautiful gatehouse at the front, which is in ruins. There's a romanticism and a magic that is difficult to transcribe, to film. You have to be here to experience it.
possible voice there.
I don't.
And another one.
Really?
Yeah.
I just don't feel bad people here. I don't. It's so odd and so strange.
Hello. Got somebody touched me leg there.
Yeah?
Yeah, brushed along by the side of my leg. So I'm thinking there might be...
I can hear a voice. I can hear a voice. Very quiet.
Cool. I think there's an animal in here.
No, I can hear a man's very, very quiet. A man talking. We are both believers. We know that you in spirit are as real on your level and plane as we are on our level and plane. We know that you have the same emotional responses that we do, the same feelings. We know that some of you are good and some of you are bad. Neither of us believe in demons or devils or angels. We believe in good energies and negative energies. I'm not feeling any negative energies here.
No, me neither.
It's kind of gentle. You say apprehension, possibly tinged with fear, perhaps.
No, I would say waiting for somebody. The apprehension.
Yeah, but I also feel that. I feel that with regard to us too. And this was...
Oh, sorry, Chris. I thought you were asking me what I was getting for the fear.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm getting more the case that they were waiting for somebody that didn't turn up.
I'm getting a pain in my left shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And a pain in my back.
I can't say that because for a simple reason I've got arthritis in my spine, so...
Yeah, no, it's just,
don't know what's
just here. I
spiritual.
feel it's very sore here. And it's not like I've been holding a camcorder for any length of time, but within my left shoulder joint, and my back, I know you're going to ask me a question. You're going to say to me on YouTube, is it someone who's attacked you? You know, are you feeling spirit sharing with you how they died? I think what's been shared to me is how they lived.
Yeah, arthritis.
Yeah. It's strange to get this. It's really stiff here at the moment. Yeah, but just here, my left shoulder here, it's very, very tight. And right at the base of my spine. Can you take this off me, please? I know you're sharing this with me. Please take it away from me. I can imagine the pain and the suffering that you experienced in your lives. It's weird. It really is. I think what we'll do, we'll pop next door, shall we? We'll try a ghost box session there.
Could be.
I'll grab the camera. Let's go.
Okay, just need to find the torch.
What's that?
Yeah, I've got to try and find the torch first of all.
Is the chief steward here?
Whoever it is, I feel you have, whoever you are, I feel you've lost somebody, a loved one.
Could you tell me your name, please?
You know that, Chris?
Sorry, Eddie.
If there was anything at the castle, if there was any loss of money.
Well, they were bankrupt at the time of the English Civil War.
Really? That's what I was getting, that they were having trouble with where the sorrow was coming in, that they'd lost the money. They had loads of money and they'd lost it.
Well, they didn't. Yeah, I believe it went on through relatives of the family, but they lost their fortune and they lived, the residue of the family, as it were, lived in the outer gatehouse, I believe.
I'm glad that came out correct. I'm sorry it's happened to you though. I really am. See that on airplane.
Oh, it's a jet, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier that we hadn't heard any aircraft, did we?
Indeed.
How weird. We just heard a jet flying over the first time today.
But yeah, it's major loss here. That's where major sadness. Major sadness. I think it's only stand a good chance of getting some good EVPs.
We're not getting anything at all in the ghost box, so yeah, I agree with Eddie, as we did in the upper room. I'm going to deactivate it, but we're going to use the ghost box in the last building just prior to leaving the site. You see in this room, you see this room and this rough, almost cave-like structure, and yet if we could cast our minds back to the time of the Haydens here, this would have been plastered, it would have had adornments, it would have looked quite pleasant, it would have had a proper floor. Now it's a roughly broken floor. It would have been a completely different world to what we are seeing it here today. And it's difficult sometimes to be able to touch in with that and to experience that, to see it. What we've just, I always find with EVP, as I've mentioned before, we tend to get EVP when we're talking, don't we? Yeah. It never comes across while we're standing there quietly. We're certainly not getting anything from the ghost box. And so, of course, you all expect from me another ghostly tale from when I was a police officer. And I want to share with you a story. We had a small house. It was originally the base of a windmill that had been converted into a dwelling, and it was a holiday let. But the owner of the property was concerned. He felt that items inside were being moved around, and he came back on one weekend visit. Although he never found any direct trace of human habitation, he certainly saw objects that had been placed from one area to another area in this very tiny dwelling. So he assumed that somebody had a key and they were allowing themselves into the building, and we're talking about a building that is in the middle of nowhere. And so he contacted the police on the premise that someone was sleeping rough there. So he gave us access to the building, and myself and a colleague, we were sat there one night like tonight, and it seemed interminable. It went on and on and on, nothing happened. Then all of a sudden, it was a horrible feeling, and my heart was pounding, because this was, you felt like it was something evil that was coming to you. And we both felt the same sensation, and we heard footsteps, and they got closer and closer and closer. Then the hand, well, the sound of a hand went on the door, and we felt that we heard the door being opened. But what was strange about this, of course, that the door was locked. So anyway, we sat there and we were out of breath with anticipation and excitement of what's about to happen. And so we got up and ran to the door as this hand, we assumed was a hand on the outside of the door, lifted a latch on a locked door. And we opened the door from the inside. It was Yao lock, so we could easily switch the lock over to unlock the door, pulled it open very quickly, and there was nobody there. Absolutely nobody. We rushed outside with our flashlights. We ran across the ground at the back, which ran into a woodland, and there was no trace of any human. And yet we heard somebody walk to the building and open it. We later discovered, some years later, that it was indeed haunted, and that in the past the owner who bought this as a holiday let had no knowledge of its history, and it had a history of poltergeist behaviour, although I have to say nothing happened when we were there except for the sound of feet and the sound of somebody opening the door, which was locked. Anyway, we had a search. We came back to the building on the premise that if it was a real person, which we didn't believe it was, and the officer I was a complete skeptic, and but he couldn't explain how the sound of the door being opened when it was locked could be explained easily. And the owner of the building subsequently sold it because of people complaining about things being moved around inside the room while he was staying there. So it wasn't somebody who was actually sleeping rough. It was probably someone in spirit who was coming back to the cottage. But what was striking about it, the experience, the striking factor was that deep, primal fear that I felt and that he felt. And I'm not a person who gets scared easily, as you're all quite well aware, and certainly Eddie isn't. So anybody I know, I don't work with people that get frightened easily. And but on that occasion I was terrified, and so was this other officer. And we both could not explain how we felt. It was horrible. We could feel it in our chest. It was just this energy, this power was building up, and then it dissipated very quickly. We never heard, in the true sense of the word, someone running away. The footsteps just stopped. So we never actually got to the bottom of it, and of course now it was revealed that indeed it was haunted. And I often wonder what happens inside that base of that old windmill, which had been converted into a dwelling. I often wonder whether or not, even to this day, this cycle of events is still occurring there. So that is my ghost story to you whilst I was a police officer. I have a few more, but for now that will do. Anyway, I'm hoping, Eddie, having had this discussion about the paranormal, that we have picked up some kind of atmosphere here, some EVP or whatever. Your camera's running in the other room.
Yes.
So hopefully, if Eddie gets anything on there in the form of light anomalies, we should be able to see it. But when we talk about that fear, I don't feel that here at all.
It's nothing there, nothing at all. It's just sadness.
Yeah.
It's just reeking with it.
Anyway, look, the camcorder I'm talking to you on is actually running out of tape. So I think what we'll do, we'll pack up in this particular location and we'll retire back to the gatehouse, the outer gatehouse, pack the equipment away so we've just got the basic necessities, and then we can carry on there for a bit, and then hopefully we may elicit some kind of spiritual response. Okay, we're now in the outer gatehouse, which is the building you saw when you first came in. We've tried a ghost box session here, absolutely nothing at all. And so we're now going on to the old-fashioned way of investigating the paranormal on a camcorder, and we're going to be here probably for about half an hour, hopefully, hoping that we can pick up some EVP or light anomaly. The atmosphere in here, I don't feel anything at the moment. Do you, Eddie?
Nope.
But you never know. The fact that we're not seeing anything or feeling anything doesn't necessitate that we're not going to pick anything up, especially EVP. So this is the building that was habited until 1920, when one of the pepper pot towers collapsed and rendered this beautiful building. And I've been saying to Eddie earlier, I love this house. It's just a shame it's a ruin, because this is a quality house. It's got a fantastic history, and I'm sure because it had more recent occupation here, we're going to pick up something worthwhile. So fingers crossed again, and let's crack on. Have a little scan around Eddie with a camcorder just to show the viewers so they can see the that really lights up, doesn't it?
It does.
There's quite a breeze blowing through the windows.
Gonna try this.
Okay, and then if you go up, that goes straight up.
That's what I'm
into
gonna
the tower.
try and do.
Amazing, isn't it?
They're gorgeous.
They look like chimneys, but they're not.
Turrets.
They're just turrets, decorative turrets. Okay, I'm going to open up on camera, so let me... We come here in love, light and peace. We mean no harm or disrespect. We've been down to the inner gatehouse here at this beautiful place. I love this house. I think this building is absolutely wonderful, and I'm so saddened to see that it is, as it is now, as a derelict ruin. And I'm hoping that anyone in spirit connected with this property are prepared to speak to us or to give us some sign or indication of their presence. We mean you no harm, no disrespect. And as I've said before, all you need to do is to scan us, and you'll know that we have no ill intent or any intention of causing harm or damage to this building.
Your female voice spoke while you were talking, Chris.
You did, yeah?
Yeah.
We'll see if that's on there when we go through it.
Heard it quite plain. So basically, just what it sounded to me is I just went, oh, like that.
We've heard some really weird noises tonight, but there's been nature, mostly owls, isn't it?
But this wasn't nature, this was human vocal.
Let's have a little wander around, shall we? Let in and see what we can...
Ooh.
There's a bit of a breeze coming through the window. Where I'm standing here, can you see the archway up here, Eddie? Where we're standing here, this is roughly 3/4 of the original length of the house. But if we look above here, and this was originally infilled, this was the original gatehouse entrance, so they would drive through here, and yet if we turn around here, we can see that they've put a modern doorway in. But originally this was much wider, and vehicular traffic would actually go through here. But since the house has been ruined, it's exposed the original entrance leading down to the inner gatehouse. So you can actually see how wide it was originally. This would have been bricked in, and it would have had windows and a door here. But sadly now it's exposed. So what you've got is the remains of the original gatehouse, the original outer gatehouse converted into a dwelling for a family who were connected once with the estate which once ruled over this area.
It is wonderful.
It's such a shame. It is as it is, and I think this is the most beautiful property as a ruin that I've been into for a long time. What am I feeling at the moment? Nothing at all. I'm seeing little lights. I'm seeing small energy spikes of light, but I'm not feeling anything. Any spirits of this house, the family that lived here in the 1920s when this beautiful house was destroyed, could you give us some kind of indication of your presence? Could you come across and tell us who you are and how you feel? We haven't come here to cause any harm or disrespect, and I underscore that because I'm fairly sure people have been here and have done disrespectful things in the past, but that is not why we're here. We are here to try and make contact with you. Now I'm feeling a sadness now. There's a lot of love here. I'm feeling a lot of love. I'm feeling a warmness. I'm not feeling anything negative. I'm not even feeling a sad loss. I'm just feeling the warmth that still exists in the fabric of this building. Again with Baconsthorpe Castle, to reiterate its haunted history, there's only one account of haunting here, allegedly a sentry in one of the towers, and apparently people walking past the remains of the curtain wall by the moat have seen a stone drop into the water, and when they've suddenly turned around to see who's throwing the stones, they've seen at the top turret of one of the towers a soldier, a sentry on duty. Now, that is legend. You'll find it on any web page concerned with the paranormal, but there is absolutely no evidence of this. I can't find anybody that has seen or experienced this phenomena, and certainly from my perspective, I just think it's just an urban myth. I think the real ghostly history lies in the fabric of this beautiful house and also the remains of the castle beyond.
Had a friend who was telling me he apparently was shot by an archer. It was sort of like, woo!
What, here?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be coming here tonight, Andy.
Well,
yeah, that's what he was saying. He told me that, say hello to the archer that shot me as I was coming through here.
Well, that's a new one on me. No, I've never heard of the archer.
I can say that Andy is not one to make things up.
No, because the only legend here is the sentry who throws stones into the moat. It's a nice story, isn't it? It is a nice story, but it can't be validated, and that's the problem with the paranormal. But I'm hoping here we're going to pick some EVP up, definitely. Now, I am feeling people here now. I'm not feeling this emptiness. I'm feeling that there is a connection to people here now.
I'm getting a lot of wind coming in at the moment.
Well, if you stand with your back to the wall, look, if you stand over here, you'll cut the wind out. If you stand here, Eddie. Do you want me to take over a little bit? Give you a break. What a shame, that beautiful late medieval archway incorporated into a much later property.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
And there's a doorway that used to lead into the rest of the house, which sadly is no longer. Another doorway there as well. I can imagine all the happy times that people had here.
I think they'd be a few parties.
It's not an unhappy house, is it really?
Definitely not.
You see, I don't see these places as ruins, I see them for what they really were for. And this beautiful window that's sadly now derelict.
Yep. Wish I was picking something up from here, but I'm not at the moment.
No, I'm just getting a feeling of those that were here, but I'm not feeling anyone reaching out to me, which is not uncommon sometimes. And in the far distance, you can't see it, unfortunately. In the far distance is the inner gatehouse. I need to stand by the wall because the wind is quite strong.
You're wrong, I picked up quite strong here when we first got here.
What, energy?
Yeah, very strong when we first got here, but sadly it's seemed to now been dispersed. And yet I heard the voice. So that don't make sense, does it?
No, there are presences here, but I mean, I've been in many haunted properties where spirit is there, but it doesn't want to interfere with people, and I get that feeling here. But then on the other side of the coin, I just get a feeling that there might be some electronic voice phenomena. But we certainly didn't pick out anything at all from this site with a ghost box. So there's another theory which has been proven, that they don't always work wherever you go. And we're only a few miles distant from Cromer, and we're not too far away from a radio transmission mast, so if it's radio interference we should have picked up lots of it, but we've picked up absolutely nothing at all. Well, I dare say we haven't picked up anything. There were one or two very weak voices, but I think they were random radio transmissions, but I need to listen to that more closely to decide whether or not we have what we were seeking. but the atmosphere, the ambience, and I just pan out slightly, and you look around inside this beautiful ruin.
Can we go inside this?
You can go outside here, yeah. But it's the wind factor that's...
Oh, I didn't realise that.
There's no wind here though. Well, there is now. Okay, we're outside. We're actually still in the property as it used to be, but unfortunately the pepper pot tower would have been there, but it's now long gone. So we're left with the tragedy, the skeleton of the house that stood here. Yeah, the wind's getting stronger. I'm going to have to step into...
Yeah. I won't say whether that was a barn, whether that was part of a building or not these days.
Yeah, strong wind.
No, I can't think I can in here at all. And yet there's a few sort of hits and they're not good.
Yeah, it's just passing energy, isn't it? Well, it's not really picking up a great deal here, is it? Sometimes you can go into a building and you start feeling an energy force, but here, nothing at all.
Earlier on, wow, it was very strong.
Yeah.
And again, maybe they're up there.
But we don't know whether or not we've got EVP, so if you look up to the rafters... Well, I'll find that out once I review the tape, and of course the same with you as well, Eddie. You've got your tape to go through. So this is going to take me about 4 or 5 days to complete, so it's a bit of work here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've been here a considerable time. We started here, I think, about, what, 6:30, and we've been here, it's now midnight, so I've had a long drive, and we've still got a long drive to get back to Brandon in Suffolk, where Eddie lives, and then from there I've got another long drive back to where I live. Anyway, Eddie, thanks very much for joining me. Have you enjoyed tonight?
It's been very interesting.
Let's put the camera over to you.
Okay.
Okay, impressions.
Sad, but what I picked up, I've been absolutely amazed by, because quite frankly I don't usually pick up much. Usually just sort of come in like that. I wouldn't consider myself a medium or anything like that, but to pick that up, I picked up in the building there about the wreck and ruin of the building. It kind of made me very happy to actually find that out.
Oh yeah,
right.
But on a physical sense, we've not actually seen anything or picked anything up.
No, heard one or two. Sounds and that possible vocals.
It's all down to what I can discover on tape.
Indeed.
Anyway, it's getting cold now. I know it's still nice, but it's getting chillier. So I'll just pass you back again very quickly. It's that moment where I always say to you, until the next time, and that's what it will be. And just very, very quickly, as I sign off, remember, if you can support me on Patreon, I would be deeply appreciated, because I want to take on board more foreign locations further afield in the UK and elsewhere, and also to improve the overall ambience and quality of my shoots. Anyway, till the next time, good night.